Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Normal podcast, where we highlight minority business owners and founders, and we use this platform to shed light on their entrepreneur journey. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Beyond Normal podcast. You guys know the routine. We're well on our way in this third season. Can't believe we're on highlighting founder number 9. But we're going to dig right into things. But before we do that, just want to shout out our sponsors over at Valorate. They've been amazing partners for us for this season, making sure that we curate this list of founders that we bring to you today. They've been right there hand in hand with us, making sure that the content's right. We're reaching out across all platforms, and they've really been an excellent partner for us. But I want to dig right into things with our special guest today, Temanté. He is the founder of multiple businesses, right? But today we're going to be highlighting Onyyx, which is a program that he is a co-founder of, which matches B.I.P.O.C and Latinx mentees with experienced professionals in the S.T.E.A.M career field. So the folks who have been following us know that I've used that term S.T.E.A.M quite a bit. The title of this episode is Extra S.T.E.A.M, please, right? Because there's some great opportunities. Temanté is an incredible example of this. But before I dig into it, further, I want to make sure that I bring Temanté to the stage so we can kick things off today. How's it going, sir?
Going great, Kenny. I appreciate you having me on, man. Definitely feel the Charlotte connection. That's where I was born and raised.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's where you are now.
So, yes, of course. And you're in sunny Miami, right?
It's always sunny Miami. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the shade down.
I see it. You don't want the sun. The sunlight is too bright right now. We don't want that to be blinding the folks.
Yeah.
But definitely appreciate you. Spending some time with us today, leveraging this Beyond Normal soapbox, right, to tell your story. So I want to dig right into things with you. Can you give folks a little bit of background about yourself? Make sure that we set the stage for the folks that are chiming in, listening to this, for how you got to the point where you're a founder of multiple businesses.
Yeah. So my background actually is not in tech. It's actually I went to the whole reason why I moved to Miami from North Carolina was to attend law school. I attended St. Thomas University School of Law in Miami Gardens, Florida. So I've been down here ever since I graduated. I haven't left. Really love South Florida. I graduated with a JD MBA from law school, and a few years after graduating from law school, working at a few various law firms, I got into teaching law and business courses at various institutions, teaching something that I knew I wanted to do, but it was something that I thought I would do kind of like later in life, after I practiced law, for some time. And it ended up not happening that way. Everything happens for a reason. So I found myself being really marketable, I guess you could say, in the teaching arena, because at a lot of institutions, I was able to teach multiple disciplines. I was able to teach in their business program. I was able to teach in their paralegal studies or their criminal justice program. So I was very, number one, active like right away. And I was able to use, my terminal degrees in the capacity of, professor. So fast forward a few years into teaching, I actually, I guess you could say, between me being kind of a part of like the new wave of teaching, where you started to use like e-textbooks and apps and technology and tablets and iPads to teach. I was a part of that, like on the forefront of that. I remember like yesterday where Apple came. At the time I was teaching at a school called Brown Mackey College, and Apple came in and they trained us, and all the students were required to have iPads, just like when I was at Carolina, how we had to have laptops, the students had to have iPads. And it was just a whole, at that time, I didn't realize it's just like literally like kind of a revolution going on in education when it came to, ed tech, education technology, using apps and other tools that were never, at most we would have keyboard in class when I was in high school.
I remember that.
Yeah. That wasn't until like 10th, 11th grade. So I think the combination of me working in education and then, me just being like really immersed and like at the forefront of this ed tech revolution, right? Where, like I said, it's like now students have to have iPads. It's like included in their tuition. And, they're not carrying book bags. They're going on their tablet and they're, bringing their books up and everything. So that spawned me to become an ed tech founder of Class Updates, which is my first startup that I co-founded, my first venture. And really, like from there, I haven't looked back. I've as you said, I've done various things, but that's kind of where I started, right? It's Class Updates. Class Updates is still live and well now. We're actually going to be revamping our app and our website. So we're going to kind of be like revamping and maybe even a potential relaunch in conjunction with one of the students at at Stanford University, which is an Ivy League school, who was going to be working with us. They have this particular student. They have an ed tech track, an ed tech program where they have to essentially work with a company like ours. So we're really excited to see what comes out of that project. We've been around since 2017 as far as Class Updates. And, during over the last couple of years, I co-founded Black Men Talk Tech, and we launched out of Miami in 2019. We're coming up on our third conference, which is going to be virtual again this year, obviously due to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we had a physical conference was pre-COVID in 2019, but the good thing about virtual conferences is it does allow us to reach more people. You don't have to be here in Miami, to be a part of it. So, it's a blessing at the end of the day to be able to reach more people. I obviously by day, I work for Microsoft. As you can see, I actually started off as an education expert with Microsoft in my first year and a half. And I got promoted back in March of this year to my current role, which I'm an instructional designer and a content program manager on our M365 learning team. I started off as an education expert with Microsoft. And then, like I said, I recently got promoted. Obviously, my education background, in teaching was very, key in me landing my first role as an education expert. And really what an education expert was, because we no longer have the role anymore. And our stores have closed, but I was really just hyper focused on our EDU business, which Microsoft is heavily invested in education. Everything from just the grassroots community events and trainings that we would have for parents and teachers and students to engaging with decision makers at these institutions, whether it's, K through 12, obviously superintendents, principals, et cetera. Higher education, everybody from college presidents to, academic deans, those that make decisions when it comes to the technology that they want their students to use. We want 300 licenses,
exactly,
Microsoft EDU licenses and 100 devices, right? Those that make those budgeting decisions, that's who I would actively engage, right? And obviously, we know who we're competing with, Google, Apple, and others in the EDU space. But, really our value proposition is second to none at Microsoft as far as what we offer.
We all know that symbol, right? Temanté, we all know that symbol on your chest.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
You touched on a couple of things there, though. I want to make sure that we don't overlook some of the things that you're talking about, because you mentioned the typing classes we had to take. I can't even remember. There was one like program my parents bought like on our first PC that taught us like the typing like the quizzes, and they made it like fun and interactive.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
keyboarding
just
101.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so to see where it is now, like you're saying, you're really seeing like kids are like they're type masters on these phones, right? From the age of what, like 5, 6, or probably even younger, right? Depending
my
on
son is 8. He's got a phone. You know, he's doing it all.
exactly.
So, yeah, definitely.
And I think I appreciate you really, elaborating on your story, because you're in a space where you saw some of the pain point, right? You saw that, hey, there's a gap here, right? And you have really just like you made sure that was your space, right?
I'm about to elaborate on that. So, there's a huge gap, like, especially when we're talking about STEAM careers when it comes to representation in the Black and Latinx communities, right? Fast forward to this year, I started Onyyx in February of this year, which is what I'm here primarily to talk about. And, I consider Onyyx to be, I call it a COVID baby, right? A COVID-19 baby, because but for COVID, I don't know if I would have actually started it. And so, there's been a lot of bad things to come out of this pandemic, but this pandemic has also spawned a lot of innovation and a lot of ideas and necessary, things that need to be done, right? So, what Onyyx is, as you said earlier, Onyyx is a mentoring network for the B.I.P.O.C and Latinx communities that are interested in STEAM career fields, where we match them with professionals such as myself, for example, in technology, with mentors, who are professionals like myself in various careers in the STEAM spectrum. So obviously STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. We are, so a couple of things. Number one, I believe it's like 4.7% of corporate employees at Microsoft are Black, right? And the engineering org where I'm in, it's like 3-point-something%. So it's like even less, right?
That's a common trend too in tech, right? That's a common trend across tech.
Yeah, we're talking about 4 out of 100 people, that look like me at the corporate level at Microsoft. And, if you're going to even get into like org specific, like, 2, 3 out of 100, out of 1,000 people, that's like 40. You're not going to even be able to see. You have 1,000 people, you might not even be able to spot us out. And so, and this is after, unfortunately, but fortunately, making progress too, that these numbers are like that. So it's like, you can't have a fraction of a person. So it's like maybe a few years ago, it was like 4.2%. Now it's 4, last year it's 4.4. Now it's 4.7. And we'll take those incremental gains. We know what that means out of an organization like ours that has almost 200,000 employees. Those incremental gains, that means hundreds of folks. So we'll take that. But at the same time, even, companies like ours know that a lot more can be done, right? Like those gains are not necessarily anything to brag about, but it does mean that we're making progress, but a lot more progress needs to be made. And so, between me, realizing, not only this abysmal statistic, but I get reached out to all the time by people for advice, either, navigating maybe a potential career at Microsoft, getting into tech, startup founder. And so I found myself like, I'm already mentoring, right? Like I'm already have people that are like reaching out to me. I literally just spoke with someone before getting on with you, who they didn't know before they talked to me, because, but they applied to a role, to work actually on my team, right? And they were just trying to get a little bit more information, about working. But it's just ironically, like they're like, I found out after, like, yeah, I already applied. I was like, oh, well, what's the rec number of the position, the role you applied to? And then I was like, oh, that's on my team. So, you know, I'm constantly talking to folks about, you know, essentially mentoring folks, right? I never say no. You know, if someone is proactive enough and takes the time to reach out to me for some of my time, you know, I sometimes a message may fall through the cracks, so I might miss it, but I'll get, you know, a couple messages, you know, I just do a search in my inbox, and I missed a couple from a few months back. One message was like from 4 or 5 months back, but I still responded, and actually they were still interested in, you know, meeting up. You know, but I try to get all of them. I try to meet all of them. Like sometimes my inbox is crazy. I might miss a couple of them, you know, but I know the value of, you know, having someone that looks like me, you know, doing something that someone else that looks like me wants to do, you know, and that I used to seeing someone that looks like me doing it. You know, I used to go out and do these trainings and stuff that I was telling you about, and kids were like, man, you're like the coolest guy I've ever met. Like, yo, this is super cool. Like, what you do is cool. Like, you know, how did you, you know, and it's like really relatable. Like, they see a guy like myself out there and, you know, training them and, you know, able to, you know, really relatable, able to talk to them, able to kind of get down on their level, but also speak the tech lingo as well. It's like fascinating, you know, and I was just like, you know, I see more folks want to get into this area, like young and old, like they want to get into STEAM, not just tech, science, technology, and you know, a lot of it's interrelated. So, you know, science is going to have a level of tech, engineering. There's that correlation there. You know, not so much the arts, but the arts is also, obviously it falls in that STEAM spectrum, and that's also an area that we want to continue as far as access, inclusion. And then, of course, the mathematics, like the financial sector, we know is lacking diversity, right? So we hope that we're not only able to provide mentorship, but actually able to help diversify these STEAM careers, paths, and industries, rather, with diverse talent, minority talent, from the B.I.P.O.C and Latinx community. So we're building out where we're at right now. Actually, we're going to use software and artificial intelligence and data to match mentees and mentors, where you'll be able to go on what's going to be a web platform at first, and we may launch an app version as well. But for now, and over the next few months, we're in our testing phase where we're going to manually match. I've got mentors that I have in my network and my colleagues that have agreed to kind of beta test for us. We're going to manually match them with mentees, and we're going to do kind of a test run for a few months, right? So we can get the data and the feedback that we need to really build this out the right way. And also we're going to be doing a lot of research over that time period as well. The good thing is I already got the back end as a service, the BaaS, as we say. You've heard of the SaaS, but the back end as a service company who's going to help us build out the matching software lined up. You know, they're just kind of waiting for us to do this, to get this data and this feedback. So really excited about that. And you can look for some big things in Q4, you know, for Onyyx, as far as, you know, our launch and everything and what we're going to be doing.
That's dope, man. And, you know, all the things that you're talking to, like leveraging the tools that are in front of us right now. Like you said, technology's here to stay. It's here upon us. The robots are here, right? Some people would say, but I think the cool thing and the reason why, like, once I heard this term STEAM instead of the STEM, like expanding it a little bit and putting the arts in there, I think that really gives a great opportunity, right, for people like me and you, who we know, like, they're creative, but they also have could have a knack for the STEM degrees, right, if it was just positioned the right way for them. And exactly. So like you said, there's this cross sectionality, right, where, you know, like, we have all these products, like we have Microsoft, we have all the big tech companies, but then part of that is really like, you have to have conversations with customers. You have to have conversations to figure out, like, the use cases. Yeah. And I feel like in a lot of cases, that's gonna position us to really be in some of these roles, these new roles that are coming up, right? You know, hundreds of thousands of tech roles, where we can really we can really speak the lingo. We already know how to code switch and do all these different things. Why not apply some of that experience into this space?
Definitely.
So as I'm listening to you, like my antennas are up. I'm getting very excited just hearing about the things you're doing with Onyyx, and then overall just how you're applying technology in general to how you run your life essentially.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And when it comes to mentoring, mentoring has been identified as one of the main core aspects of a thriving tech ecosystem, right? Especially when it comes to the Black community. Mentoring is right up there at the top of the list. And I know this because I recently completed an ecosystem builders fellowship through the Center for Black Innovation based here in Miami. And that was some of the information that they shared. It was what does it take to have a thriving tech ecosystem? And mentoring was right there. And just this week we had a Blacks at Microsoft B.I.P.O.C, as we call it, event where it was mentioned like there's like close to 30, I think over 30 mentoring programs alone at Microsoft. And so that right there tells you that mentoring is important. But what it also tells you, and what I've also been finding in building Onyyx out in my research, is there's so many different programs, is because some people think mentoring is this, some people think mentoring is that. There's some mentoring programs that are focused on specific things, so it's kind of all over the place. And that's one of the difficulties and one of the challenges that we really want to do this right. As far as Onyyx, right? So we are, we're being very thoughtful and very, me as the co-founder and CEO, I've actually been literally in the process of like trying to kind of build out our program, and I'm really at the point where like I think I'm gonna let the mentees like do a lot of the drive a lot of it, as opposed to us trying to formulate what mentoring is, right? Like I want to focus on 3 core areas with this, which is going to be career development, professional development, and personal development. And I want the the mentees to really drive what they want that to look like, and then the mentors to help them along the way. So really excited. And
I'm still here, Temanté. I'm giving you the soapbox. I'm giving you the soapbox. I'm moving out the way.
I didn't know if I was still on. So focusing on those 3 areas, and then let the mentees come up with their goals that they want, right, to get out of the relationship. We're actually still building out even like how long we want the mentees and mentor cycle to last. Like at first I was thinking like a few months, but then it's like, nah, people get busy, it's seasonal, like a few months may pass, and that's not enough time to really build a relationship and really bond, right, between the mentor and mentee. So we're being very thoughtful about this. It's looking like we'll be connecting mentors and mentees for somewhere around maybe 8 months or so, right, to really make sure that not only can they build a relationship, because that's what mentoring is about. And you can't really have in my opinion, a good mentoring relationship after only a month or 2. You got to build a relationship. You got to build a rapport with the mentee and mentor. You got to and that takes time. And and relationship building takes time. Mentoring is not an instant thing. All these people who I told you I've talked to, I'm maintaining contact with them. They check in. We check in every now and then. Even my co-founder, Imadi, who's my CTO at Onyyx, I met him through getting connected from him, a mentor connecting us. And at the time, he not only did he not work at Microsoft, because he works at Microsoft with me now, he wasn't my CTO at Onyyx, right? And so look what that has turned into. We got connected through a mentor. Now he's a software engineer at Microsoft. I'm a content program manager at Microsoft. We're both co-founders of Onyyx, and he's my CTO at Onyyx.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
I tell that story like just that even what we're building with Onyyx is a example of us being connected, right? And a mentor-mentee relationship that I had with him that's now formed into our business relationship. And now we're co-workers at the same, the best company in the world. So
that's dope, man. And what you're really speaking to is that community. Like you said, there's this idea that things are transactional. Like, hey, me and you having this conversation, you get something, I get something, right, immediately. And that's just not always the case, right? And even the content that's out there now, right? You put it out there and you let people digest it at their own pace, pick what they want from it, right? And then it spurs more dialogue, it spurs more conversation. And so to you really building that into the model at Onyyx, I think that's definitely spot on. That's been a consistent thing with the founders for this season, really focusing more on that we've highlighted in terms of focusing more on that community versus like, okay, let me build a product, right? You can almost, it seems kind of backwards, right? But people are really focusing more on, hey, let me build a community. Let me start building these relationships. And then those relationships, that dialogue gives you some sort of data, right? And you can go ahead and build that final product. And so that's us. I go back to that S.T.E.A.M model that you're really stressing, right? Having that A in there, that's the creativity that I'm looking for. Because I'm a S.T.E.A.M major, right? Mathematics, but in a lot of the classes, it's A plus B equals C, right? There is no flexibility there, but we know in our real lives, right? We can't just go off of formulas and expect a set outcome. Life happens, right?
Definitely. I see a comment there. Wes said there's nothing better in the working world than a mentor.
Exactly. And then he actually followed it up too. Yeah. So correction, a good mentor.
A good mentor. That's true. Yeah. Because we, and that's another thing, we've gotten feedback and had conversations about like bad mentoring situations, like mentoring gone wrong. Right? And we
speak on it.
We want to the best of our ability, not have situations like that. So we're really being thoughtful, and we will have things built in, in case there have to be any changes and such. However, the goal is to make ideal matches, right, based off of individuals, their career interests, their goals, their background, their experience. And then obviously having mentors that really want to be a part of, one thing I'm finding is, people really want to help, they want an opportunity to give back. And, you were talking about a product, and I mean, this is but just for example, like, I just read it, recent articles like, oh, what happened to Clubhouse? And it's just like, the rise and fall kind of, so to speak. And, nobody's really talking about it, nobody's using it. And I think right now it's like 36 in the app, in the like most downloaded, most popular is like number 36 behind like something we've never heard of. And, they were like, the article summarized some reasons, like, the need for it, the pandemic, it was, it's new. And now people are having face-to-face conversations, things get back to normal. But my main takeaway was like, it had its moment. It was popular, uber popular, virally popular, through the roof popular. And now who cares about it? And like, that will never happen with mentoring. You know what I mean? Like, now I'm not saying we'll ever be like viral like Clubhouse was, but I can guarantee you there's not going to be like a come and go moment for mentoring, right? Because it's been something that has been around and there has been a need for forever, and there will be, no matter what. So hopefully I'm tapping into something that, in that sense, has some longevity, and we'll be able to really build this out the right way.
No, that's dope, man. And like you said, it's just like, people got to have conversations. The channel to which they have the conversation, Twitter, Clubhouse, in person now, right? Because hopefully everybody's got their shot, they're vaccinated, and we're all good to go, right? But a part of that is like, the channel doesn't really matter, right? It's really the dialogue that happens. And you bring up that case in point with Clubhouse. That was something that was viral. I myself, like, once I got on it, I was like, why am I up here for 8 hours straight, like at 1 a.m. talking about Bitcoin? Like, why am I doing this, right? But it was addictive. And I think it really showed. It just came at the right time. It was like, lightning in a bottle in terms of we were all pent up. And so we needed we needed a cool tool to interact. But like you said, that comes and goes. And so that is going to be interesting to see how some of these platforms, they pivot, right? With moving forward to maintain some of that relevancy and continue that dialogue on their platforms. Because at the end of the day, the dialogue is more important than whatever tool you use is the way that I think about it, right?
Definitely.
So I want to, you started multiple entities, multiple businesses. Like you said, your first one being in education, right? And now you veered into with Onyyx and also with Black Men Talk Tech, right? Mm-hmm. And so as you're creating these different opportunities, these different businesses, right? It's always fascinating to hear from a founder like yourself some of the experiences that you've had that you recall, right? And I always ask people this, like, what's that experience? What's been the most painful thing starting a business, creating a business for you so far? Like, what's that one thing if you like, it was so painful you wish you could hop in a time machine, right? And tell yourself this like 5 years ago, like, hey, make sure you look out for this because this is going to be no joke. Like, what's that one thing you've learned throughout this process?
Wow. I mean, that's a good question.
Give me a couple if you got it, but at least one. Give me at least one.
That's a good question. One of the things I learned, I mean, even recently is, don't, and it sounds kind of crazy coming from me, lawyer or somebody, but don't be so gullible when it comes to working with other people or bringing them into what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You can't do everything by yourself, so it's a delicate balance. But I should have. There are times where I should have vetted more who I was bringing on, right? Either to be a co-founder or a business partner. And people will tell you, like, you go to these things, like finding a co-founder is like matchmaking, like dating, like finding a wife, a spouse. It's like, it is that important, and so you got to take it. You got to take it as that important. You can't just, have a co-founder just to have one. So that's one of the things. Not everybody. That you might think is well-intentioned to bring on to do business, they may try to sabotage your whole idea or your whole vision, or even literally like oust you from something that you created. Like, I've seen that happen in other situations. I've have some personal experience with that. So that's one of the things that you got to really, be careful about and kind of guard it. It's caused me to be like, I went through a phase where I was like kind of salty, right? Mm-hmm. Like I got kind of jaded a little bit about just the whole, like, and through prayer and just being positive minded,
mm-hmm.
Just time passing, I've been able to do all right. But I've been burned, that comes in business. I'm a play about my money, right? So when it comes to being burned and when money's involved, it can get personal. And you got to really be careful, like, to keep it business.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like me, I'm corporate, right? But I can definitely, handle things other ways. Right? So I have to keep, definitely, you have to just keep your business, your wits about you. You can't, at the end of the day, you can't take it personal. it's business, but like I said, when it comes to, I have mouths to feed, I got a family, it's kind of hard not to. So that's what I would say. Just be careful. It's caused me to kind of now like, just I proceed with caution when it comes to dealing with anybody. And I used to be more like, I'm from the South. We're from Charlotte. Like, we're nice people. So we assume like everybody's well intentioned and everybody's like excited about what you're doing and gonna, and supporting, and not knowing like, it may be people trying to like,
that's facts.
Just get over on you. So take advantage of you. So.
Yeah, and so Wes chimed in. Appreciate Wes. A couple folks have chimed in with some comments. We love hearing the feedback, but that's definitely a gem you just dropped there, Temanté, in terms of like, like make sure you go into a situation like with your wits about you, thinking through, stuff the way to where you feel comfortable in a situation, right? Don't ever go into a situation without that. You mentioned growing up in the South. And Charlotte in particular, I can tell, the listeners, for the folks who haven't been in North Carolina, the people who are from North Carolina are usually like very, very nice. And so to the point where when I first moved here, I was driving down the street and for whatever reason, people just wave at you and I'm like, I don't know you, but okay. And so that's the nicest I think that you're getting to, Temanté, right? And in certain instances, right, people may take advantage of that, right? And so you really got to this is still a business. Like you said, you're not going to play about your money. Like you said, you got mouths to feed. Even back to your original analogy where you were like, essentially like businesses now that are being created during this time, they're like your COVID babies, right? And so you really don't want anybody to be messing with your child, right? Yeah. And so I think that's as you were speaking through that, I know that resonated with people because I was visualizing what you were saying as you were saying it. And so I appreciate you sharing that gem there. One follow-up I would have is that, as you've gone through some of these experiences, how did you go about picking, filtering out, or what's your criteria when it comes to like somebody you're going to collaborate with, somebody you're going to partner with when it comes to business ventures now? Like, what's that criteria for you look like?
Yeah. So it's a great deal of conversation with the person, making sure our visions are aligned, seeing where their head is really at. It's a great deal of vetting, that goes on. And it's, definitely it's definitely got to be a feeling, but it's got to be more than just a feeling, so I kind of look at it as like a dating relationship. I'm looking for chemistry. I'm looking for, do we share a similar vision and ideas? Are we aligned in our way of thinking? If you think that, Pluto is, purple and, I'm telling you Pluto's blue and, you want to go back and forth and you just not willing to even listen to my point of view, it might not be, that might not be the best match. So, I'm someone that we can, that'll stand their ground, but that's also open-minded and that, compatibility, right, is big. It's not, that's why I say I kind of approach it like dating, because you're building a business, you're building a company. It's going to be late night phone calls and meetings and just all that comes with, starting.
Yeah, starting from the bottom.
Yeah, starting from the bottom and trying to figure something out. So it's important that you have somebody that you get along with, and that there's going to be disagreements, but and all these things is easier said than done, and that's why it's not the easiest to find a co-founder or a good girlfriend or a good boyfriend or anything else, right? If you're looking for so it is, and other people will tell you that too. Like, it's a lot like kind of dating, like trying to find a co-founder, trying to find somebody that you trust enough to do, business with. It's not going to burn you or take your idea or have ulterior motives. So
yeah. Like
And that's just what people. Period. Like that's just what people. Period. Not just you go in business with. But, you know.
And I think, like as you're speaking on it, like that is something. I think that's definitely an opportunity in our community, right? In terms of people figuring out like what those conversations look like you said, everybody's formula, everybody's kind of method to the madness, right? Is going to be a little bit different. So you really got to get in there and figure out, have a direct conversation. Here's what I'm looking for, right? In terms of the partnership, I can actually think to, our sponsorship, right? Our partners over at Valorant, and we've had very direct conversations around how we want to build. Like you got to be able to go into, you're almost going into battle with somebody. You want to make sure, right? Like if they tell you something and it's coming from the right place. And so our partners over at Valorant, in terms of our strategic direction that we've been taking for the podcast, right? They can tell us a lot of things. I'll take a lot of feedback from them, from Brooke, that I won't take from other people, right? And because I know that Brooke has and her team have my best interest at heart when it comes to the podcast growing the right way. And so as you were saying that too, I'm thinking of the partnerships that I have going on in my world and how I'm vetting people, right? And it's always interesting just to hear people's different perspectives.
I got a little podcast too.
You do? Yeah, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that too. I enjoy it. So I know a little bit about this world.
And so I want to touch on the podcast a little later too, but I wanted to touch just briefly on, like you said, you're from Charlotte, from North Carolina, you're in Miami, the Miami area right now. Tell folks a little bit around like what you're seeing in Miami in general, because I am hearing, my ears to the streets, I am hearing that Miami, in terms of tech talent and just diversity and things like that, there is some growing opportunities there. And so I want people to really have the full picture in terms of maybe there's some places where they could be, linking up, networking with people once things open back up, maybe an opportunity for people to move there. So I'm curious in terms of, what you're seeing in terms of that ecosystem, in terms of supporting some of the things that you're working on, whether it be startups or just business in general for people that look like me and you.
Yeah, so that's a great question. One word, Miami is booming. It has been up and coming, but now it's booming in a lot of different ways. So because there's no state income tax here, and because we're South Florida, average temperature year round 70 something degrees, very attractive for cost wise and weather wise for businesses to come to Miami or South Florida. So a lot of businesses have been moving their headquarters to South Florida or regional hubs to South Florida, including Microsoft just announced publicly, I've known for some time, but just made the public announcement a couple of days ago that our S.T.E.A.M regional hub, which has always been down here, but is moving from Fort Lauderdale to downtown Miami in a 50,000 square foot, Class A+ building, in Brickell. And so clearly a lot of job opportunities, not only from, companies like ours, but these other companies that are coming in, setting up shop, are resulting currently now and in the future. Companies are hiring thousands at a time, hundreds at a time, different openings and different roles in tech. So definitely, be paying attention to that. In addition, you have a lot of the investors, the venture capital investors, VCs that are also setting up shop now in South Florida, that are moving from the valley, so to speak, to Miami. Also because of some of the same reasons that I highlighted before. It's cheaper, no state income tax, beautiful weather, and now there's all this activity with founders such as myself and others who are building different businesses that are attractive as well for investors to be here. We just broke like a record for investment in the billions, like over the last quarter or two, like unheard of. here in South Florida because of all this activity that I'm telling you about. And these investors are not coming for a few months, which is indicative of temporary. They're buying their $40 million mansions here on Staten Island and their $20 million mansions on South Beach, and they're moving here, right, to stay. So that's been, for the people that have been talking about it, that's been one of the main indicators that this isn't a fleeting moment. This isn't like a fad. Like you're literally moving from the valley to here, and like you're buying substantial real estate, right? That's evidence of that. So we're talking about your Peter Tills, your Keith Rabois, and your John Orangers, major founders turned VCs. Some of them billions in net worth that are now calling Miami home. So me personally, unfortunately, a lot of the capital was not invested in Black founders. Some of the records that have been broken. We know the statistics when it comes to venture investing for Black founders. So that's something that we're trying to not only highlight but change. But in general, like booming with activity, and it's just going to continue. It's just going to be more and more.
Yeah, that's dope, man. And I think, as I was, reviewing what you're doing with, Black Men Talk Tech, I think there was something around in terms of the summary of it, in terms of the collective of what you guys are doing. The team put, entrepreneurship collective tasked with creating a vicious cycle of access, insights, capital, and inclusion for Black men in tech. So it seems like it's very, very deliberate. Right. And so I'm curious, tell folks a little bit around what you're doing there as well, because I think that ties into what you're seeing in the Miami tech scene in general, in terms of some of these resources being in one place. And now we see the resources outside of the traditional Silicon Valley. How do we take advantage of it? So tell us a little bit around the work you're doing there as well.
And are you, I missed the first part. You talking about the work that I'm doing around what now specifically, Kenny?
Oh, excuse me. Black Men Talk Tech.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. So I think I was just trying to pivot a little bit in terms of, like you just said, there's these opportunities outside of California now, right? And so
so our conference is going to be free, so take advantage of that. It's coming up in October, towards the end of October. We actually, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second.
No worries. Yeah, we're gonna give Temanté a second. Looks like somebody reached out to him. You good, Temanté?
Yeah, sorry about that. The good news is our conference is free for everyone to attend. So make sure you register. We're going to have it October 20th through October 20th and 21st this year. So a little over a month's time. And we hope to have, we're going to have some great speakers as always. We're going to have some great programming. We'll have our, actually the 21st and 22nd, I'm sorry. We'll have our pitch competition as usual, and it'll be a great opportunity for anyone who attends to connect with maybe your next co-founder, your next investor, potential business partner. It's not just for, even though it's focused on Black men, it's Black Men Talk Tech. It is for everyone. So we have a very diverse audience and diverse speakers as well at our conferences. So we encourage everyone to attend. You will definitely get a lot of knowledge and learn a lot from, our programming and the content and the panels and the discussions that we have. That's for sure. The last 2 years have been fantastic, and we're just getting better every year. So we expect this year to be even better. We'll look out for some more announcements coming as far as speakers and specifics about the conference. But can't tell you October 21st, 22nd, next month, free for all. You can go on our website and register, or I actually posted recently as well about information where you can also register as well. If you go to my post, you can see the link. We can register there too. So we're really excited. Definitely check us out. And hopefully we thought we would be in person this year, but we'll continue to make it happen and adjust however we need to, despite everything that's going on.
Yeah, that's a dope opportunity, man. Like you said, some of the, I got a chance to just look into the site, the sponsorships. You guys got some big sponsorships as well that comes along with it. And so that shows that, resources are behind it. You're putting your full effort behind it. And so always taking advantage of something like that. Like you said, it's free. Why not attend something like that? So excited to see you highlighting that there. And then I know you wanted to touch on the podcast as well, because I think that's also an excellent way for people to connect really within that ed tech space. So you want to give a quick overview of that as well, because I know that's something, like you said, you're digging more and more into podcasting. Podcasting is here to stay, I feel like, right? So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Give me a second.
No worries there, Temanté. Take your time. Yeah, so everybody, as we can see, Temanté is, as he said, he's got mouths to feed. And so he is, those mouths that he's feeding are right there in the house. We all are living, we're living this remote environment. And so, again, we appreciate Temanté making sure that he's working with us. Move into a quiet room. I know how hard it can be to find a space like that, right? And so,
sorry about that.
No worries.
Before I came home for the weekend, but I just got into you were asking about my S.T.E.A.M podcast, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I just got into it several months ago. I love it. It's something it was an opportunity that presented itself that I had to jump on. I am friends with one of the founders of S.T.E.A.M, Elizabeth Leva. And she give me 1 second. She had me as a guest on one of her podcasts that she has with Future. And after the show, it was like, hey, have you ever thought about podcasting? And I was like, actually, yeah, I have. It is something that I've given some thought that I might, want to try sometime. And I was like, y'all don't have anything focused on S.T.E.A.M. So maybe, S.T.E.A.M would be a great show for me to try to do. And pretty much they agreed. The team, Elizabeth and Joe and Elvin, who are great, by the way. And the rest is pretty much history. It's definitely, our network is growing. I have awesome guests on my show. I got some real awesome ones lined up coming up for sure. They're just going to continue to get more and more, more and more, just better and better shows. So, I do it for the passion, and there's definitely a void that needs to be filled when it comes to STEM, focusing on STEAM and STEM. And as far as our community, so I should be getting sponsors as well. So stay tuned for that. I got a couple people that are interested in sponsors. So I might have to talk to you a little bit about that, Kenny. But yeah, I use Anchor for now. It's the main platform. I do like StreamYard, so I may have to check this out. But and we focus on all things STEM, STEM and STEAM on the show.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Just having outlets like that, I think that's very, very important. Wes chiming in, man of many talents. And so Temanté, I appreciate you juggling and figuring out how we're going to close out this conversation. Like you said, though, you got those mouths to feed, so I ain't even mad at them for coming in. and making themselves known on the Beyond Normal podcast. I got one more question for you, right? And so we have a sponsor question that we put together in partnership with our sponsors over at Valorant. Our partners came up with this idea with us around world domination, right? Dominating in your field, or just, whatever that means to you. So for you looking forward for Onyyx, whether it's a year out or 5 years out, what does world domination look like for you and your team?
Wow, that's a good question. Wow, world domination for us would be us partnering with the majority of education institutions and organizations who are focused on STEAM and STEM to provide mentoring opportunities to the Black and Latinx communities in those careers, in those career fields. So, kind of creating hopefully like a potential talent pipeline partnership, having an extensive partnership network in order to do that. Institutions and educational institutions and organizations. That would be great. Even if we could get one, right? But if we have multiple, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so building that pipeline, I think that's important. Like you said, Temanté, taking it all the way back to what you said at the beginning around we're starting to see some of those incremental improvements in tech and just in broader measurements across different industries, right? We're talking like 0.1% here and there, right? But when we start to make those big shifts, right, you're talking 5%, 10%, 20% shifts overall. I think it will take having that consistent pipeline. But I think the work that you're doing, setting up the mentor program with Onyyx, I think that's spot on. We definitely need that. Having those people like in positions like yours, you recognize having those people who are already in the field, and like, why not let them have the conversations, right, with the ones who are interested in it, right, versus just telling people to go online and search for it on your own. We all have the internet, but you need something else. And again, I'm always going to go back. You mentioned at the beginning that cross-sectionality, right, between those STEM degrees and then that art that we're putting in there now, that creativity. I think that's where you're going to see individuals that look like me and you really prosper, really come into their own, right, where they're not feeling like they have to code switch in certain arenas, right, really coming into situations in their own where they can maximize making the most money, and then also that impact that so many of us want to have right now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's dope. And so, that's all my questions, Temanté. You answered everything with flying colors. You dropped some gems. Outside of that, I want to pass it to you. Let folks know how they can stay in contact with your brand. With Onyyx, how do they keep up with all the things that are going on right now? Because I know you got a lot going on.
Yeah, sure. I'm really active on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me, follow me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me there. Also, we have our landing page up right there on Onyyx. Feel free to visit and sign up and subscribe so you can get the latest updates and keep up with what we're doing there. There's a place for you to subscribe, we've got a newsletter that we'll be starting soon. Also, like I said, blackmentalktech.com to register for our conference for free. And, anything as far as like Microsoft, you can reach out to me, like I said, on LinkedIn, or, I'm also on Twitter. I'm on, social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm not hard to find. It's only one Temanté pretty much. So, reach out to me. LinkedIn is preferred. But you can reach out to me in any of those ways.
Yeah, we'll definitely follow up with folks, getting your LinkedIn out there. Again, Temanté, like he said, I was able to reach out via LinkedIn, and then we just kept the dialogue going, right? And so you make yourself easily accessible. Like you said that at the beginning of the interview, and I was like, that really is Temanté. Like I reached out, and you just immediately reached back out to me. Like, hey, let's set something up. and we just kept the dialogue going, right?
I know how it is.
Yeah, you know exactly
Yeah.
like what it takes to get stuff done. So appreciate you again for coming on the platform. I want to pass it to you one last time in terms of, what do you want to leave folks with? At the end of this conversation, we always pass it to our guests. Like, what's that lasting thing you want folks to remember at the, as they listen through this whole conversation and just moving forward? Like, what should they be taking from the conversation that me and you had today?
I mean, just, not necessarily like from this conversation today, but just, everybody has the power to make a difference and to create substantial change, to have an impact. So, use your power, like ask yourself, what are you doing? If you see something that, you want change or something that needs change, like ask yourself, what are you doing about it? And, do something about it. If you're not, you don't have to necessarily start a business, but, collect the individual contributions turn into, collective action, and, you can get a lot done. So use your power. That's what I would leave everybody with. Use your power to make change.
That's perfect, Temanté. Jordan chiming in with a thumbs up. Definitely like just the way that you go about things, Temanté. I love how you lay things out direct to the point. That's my style. I love when people lay things out that way. But again, appreciate you for coming on the platform. Folks are still chiming in the comments. So that we appreciate folks interacting with us. This has been an engaging conversation the whole time. Temanté, you're working on so much, but that's good that you're busy. Like I can tell like you're putting like your passion and all that energy that you got into things that you want to focus on, that will build for the future. And so I definitely just want to say I commend you for that. Appreciate you coming on the platform. We're going to make sure that we push some folks. Yeah, we're going to make sure we push folks to your podcast and all the things that you got going on. I'll be attending that Black Men Talk Tech as well event next month. So let me know how I can help out there. And then outside of that, just want to thank our listeners for tuning in to the Beyond Normal podcast. Thanks for chiming in, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Normal podcast. We can be streamed across all major streaming platforms in addition to YouTube. Come back again.